I was born here, but my mum was born in Manchester. Yeah, so majority of people would know, but if you don't know, anyone who's from Bangladesh, you would know that they're Muslim, and that's what my family are. And I grew up, you know, every Saturday and Sunday was mosque. That was it. You didn't have a choice. It was like, okay, get up and, you know, wash your ears, wash your feet, wash your nails, the normal stuff that you had to do every Saturday and Sunday. That was normal. And because it was my norm, it wasn't really a thing of, oh, you enjoy it or not. It's more like you just do it. So that was my normal weekend. And then I was getting older, got older, and it started to become boring to me. So, because there's only so many times you can read the Quran, there's only so many times you can do it, there's only so many times you can sit there and learn, you know, just reading Arabic but not understanding what it is. But this had nothing to do with religion. I think it just had to do with me growing up, and my friends, they you know, they didn't really have a religion. I was the only one in my friendship group, so it was just, you know, it was just something I felt like I was missing out on a lot growing up. Because, for example, you know, if there's a birthday party, I couldn't go because on a Saturday I would have I would have mosque like 12 till 2 o'clock. So that used to be in my head growing up. And then it got to a point where I got quite curious about it. And then I was 14. So if you don't know, Muslims have something called, it's like a pilgrimage, basically. So you go to Saudi Arabia, and if you didn't know, that's where, you know, the heart of Islam is. That's where it's Allah's house, but in Arabic you call it the Kaaba, and that's where the Kaaba is. That's where Prophet Muhammad died. That's where everything happened. That's where the heart of it is. So my parents took me, not just me, it was a family thing to go. So we went there, and I saw the Kaaba. Some people might know, but you have to walk around it 7 times, and there's like this stone that you touch that kind of washes away all your sins. So I'd done this whole thing. I performed the whole pilgrimage with my family, and I was 14 when this happened. So I'm 19 now, so I was 14 back then. And I'd done this all, but for me, it wasn't a religion thing. It was a family vacation for me. I just wanted to go, because, you know, it's a whole country, why not? So I wanted to go. It was lovely, but it was nothing. I wasn't really like in it, but my parents are. So to give you a background on them, for you guys to really understand how you have a pastor, and let's say if the pastor can't come into church for whatever reason, if it's poorly or family emergency, he might give it to someone in ministry to come to kind of preach for the church because he can't make it. That's my dad in a mosque. So you have your imam, and if the imam, for whatever, my dad would take over. So you guys, I'm pretty sure people have heard some people think it's a song, that prayer people say. If you've gone to like Muslim countries like Dubai or like Marrakesh, places like this, you'll hear it. That's my dad's role in a mosque. My mum, she wears a hijab. She's always worn a headscarf. She's worn an abaya. So if people don't know, it's the black long cloak thing. My mum's always worn that. So it's always been a thing. So that's that background. So I came back from Saudi, and it was normal. I lived my life. It was completely normal. And so I have a friend called Abby, and I've known her for years and years and years. I've known her since I was 12. When I was 15, she introduced me to a guy called Benjamin, and he's a Christian. He's saved. but obviously I didn't know what salvation was. I had no idea that was even a thing. So all I knew was he was a Christian. He knew I was a Muslim, he knew I was Bengali, he knew everything about me. So I've known him since I was 14, but when I turned 15 we met again, and we were friends at first, and then when I turned 16, I remember by this point, I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. I think I asked him, what are you doing? And it was a Sunday, and he said, I'm going to church. And I was like, oh, okay. Out of curiosity, I said, what is it like? And I remember he asked me, what do you think it's like? And I thought it was that Sister Act. So I said, oh, there's like loads of people just like shouting and dancing. That's literally my idea of church, and that's only because of movies you watch and you just kind of think it's like that. So he said, yeah, that's how it is, and that was it. Now I'm a Christian. I know he was planting a seed, but at the time obviously I didn't know, but that was the conversation. He let it go, and I just moved on. It was normal. And then I think it was because we became very good friends, so we were speaking quite often. And I remember maybe it must have been a couple weeks later, and we started speaking about Adam and Eve, I remember. And we're just talking about it, just like normal. And he said to me, why don't you pray? And I said, what do you mean, why don't you pray? And he was like, oh, why don't you pray to Jesus? Now, no one knows, as a Muslim, if you pray to anything else, you can't ever come back from that. So I knew that's really bad. And because Christianity and Islam is so, it just has so much, I would say, tension between both those religions. I knew if I ever did convert to anything, it never would have been Christianity. Never in a million years. It just wouldn't have run in my family ever. So he didn't get it at all as to why I was so shocked that he said this to me. But until this day, it stuck with me, and I will never forget it. He said to me, if you're so sure in Islam, why are you so scared to pray to Jesus if you're so sure Islam's real? And he might not remember this, but that stuck with me, and I would never forget that. And I remember I was like looking at my window, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, that is so true. Like, if I know that it's real, why do I have this feeling now I'm a Christian? I know it's the Holy Spirit, but I felt heavy, like, why don't I just pray? Like, it's really not that deep. And I remember I prayed. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I think I just said, oh, Jesus, kind of like that. And I called him back, but I was bawling my eyes, guys. I was crying. I had no idea why I was crying, but I just remember just a tide of emotions hit me, and I was thinking, oh gosh. And he was laughing on the phone. He was laughing on the phone to me, and he said, no, this is good, like, God's moving. But obviously I didn't understand. I just thought, okay, this guy is just doing the most right now. It was just a bit too much. A week later, I went to church. Now, I've never been to a church. The churches I've only been to have been like year 6 school trips, and that's to make like cookies and stuff for Christmas. I've never done anything else like that. So I remember, oh my gosh, now my pastor and his wife's on here, so they might remember this. But I remember we were waiting outside the church, and I just saw my pastor pull up in his car, and my heart was going like, it was beating like crazy. I was so scared because I didn't know. I thought a pastor was like really proper and he's just super formal, but I was very taken back as to how nice they were, and they were just normal human beings. I was very, very taken back by that. But I heard the sermon, and Pastor done the altar call, and Pastor Eric might not remember this, but he was saying the altar call, and he said it, I kid you not, about 6 times, and he just kept saying, I just know there's someone in here, and I just have to give them the chance, and I just know. And I kept thinking, no, there's no way it's for me, like, no way. And he just kept going and just kept going. And I think it was on the last one, I put my hand up, and I didn't know what that meant. I just knew I felt heavy, on my heart, and I just knew, oh gosh, like, Taz, you cannot let this opportunity pass by. That's all I remember. It just felt heavy. I gave my life. That was it. I gave my life. Right there and then I prayed. And then 2 weeks later I went to Bangladesh for 6 weeks. So, you know, as a new convert, that's the prime time to fellowship with people, and just help me. But the way this was going, I literally got saved, and it was a few weeks later I went straight to Bangladesh for a family holiday. I was there for 6 weeks because all my dad's family is there. So I went there. I had the best time, but I felt myself slipping. Now, I stopped praying, but I thought, looking back, I think I still was a Christian. It was just very, I'm around Muslims for 6 weeks in Bangladesh. Like, it's quite hard. And I remember I told my friend Abby was saved, and I remember I told her, I'm not praying. And she was the one who was like, no, Taz, you need to keep, persevere, keep going, it's fine. I said the same thing to Ben. I stopped praying, and he said the same thing to me, keep praying, it's okay, just pray again. I came back to England 6 weeks later, and it was the best day, because the day after I went to my pastor's wife's house for a fellowship, and that was my first ever Bible study as well, it was so much fun. I had such a lovely time, and yeah, so at this point I'm back now. Everything's fine and everything's cool, I'm living, but it got to the point where, because I'm a girl and I'm Bengali and my culture is very, you can't really go out. So if you do go out, maybe once a month. That was how my life was. It does not matter. So many people have told me, but when you grow up, it'll be different. No. That doesn't change in my culture. The only time it will change is if you get married, because you no longer answer to your dad, you answer to your husband. So everyone used to say to me, it's going to change. You're 16. How much can they keep you in the house? But it didn't change. And it got to the point I felt like I couldn't live for God properly, because everyone was going on impact teams. They were doing concerts. They were doing outreaches. And I had a very radical conversion. So after that happened, when I came back, I was on it. I wanted everyone to get saved. I was proper on it. I cut off friends it was no one's business, which I just didn't want to be around just carnal things. I literally just wanted to be about God. I used to, going to Bible study was lovely. I loved it during that time, but it really used to upset me when I couldn't fellowship and I had to be home by 9:10. But Bible study used to finish at 9. So it literally used to be the brothers and sisters at my church were phenomenal during this time, because they all knew. It was literally Taz, get your shoes on, let's go home. Everyone understood. So it did feel like I had a family behind me in church, which was really lovely. But it got to the point, it was getting hard. So I spoke to my pastor and I said, Pastor, I'm ready to tell my mum. And at this point I am now, how old am I? 17. So I'm 17, and pastor's now, by the way, Pastor Eric, if you're listening to this, when I said to him, oh yeah, I'm ready to tell my mum, but I thought he was going to be no, you're not ready yet. So I didn't really deep it what I was saying. And then he literally looked at me and he said, yeah, go tell her. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. And we had a revival with, I can't remember, I think it's Evangelist by Richmond, I believe. He gave me my first ever word, and I will never forget this word. This was, so this is now, pastors told me, I think you should tell your mum. A few weeks later, we have services, revival, and the week later, so this is Saturday, not that Sunday, but the following Sunday, I was planning for my mum to come to church. Now I'll get into that, but that revival, Saturday night revival, the evangelist came up to me and he said, gave me my word and said, having done all to stand. And that broke me to pieces, because I knew once it's out there, once my mum knows, I really thought that's my life. Like, I'm moving out at 17. I guess because I'm under 18, I really thought I was going to the care system. That's it. But I really it was a church, and God and this word really, really helped me so much. And I brought my mum to church. She thought it was a youth talk this whole time. But I remember she came in and she saw our Potter's House banners, and she just looked at me and said, "Oh my gosh, Tazmin, this is what you do every Sunday." And I didn't say anything. Pastor Eric, he preached on Islam, which is quite funny, and like false religions. So it definitely touched my mum. I know it 100%. She stayed through the whole service, which was really good. And that was it. My mum found out, and she said to me, thank you. She said to me, "I'm going to tell your dad." Now, Pastor Eric and Shalom, you might remember this, but I packed a bag that night with, you might laugh that these were my essentials at the time, but it was my skincare and my toothbrush. Those are the only things I packed with me. Back then, that's what I thought, that's all I needed. But I literally packed it, and I was like, yeah, no, like, I said to my mum, you can tell him I'm ready to go. And she didn't tell him, which is crazy to me that she didn't. And for that whole year, it was so weird, but we acted like she never came to church. I remember the following morning, she was like, "Oh, do you want some chicken nuggets?" It was so normal, but very scary. I didn't know what God was doing. He was doing something though, but I was so confused as to why she didn't tell him. Now, if you guys remember, I did say my mum's originally from Manchester, so all my mum's brothers and sisters have lived there. And this conversation happened that they want to move up north. Now, I live in Kent. Manchester is like a 5-hour drive from me. All my friends are here, my church is here, all my cousins, a couple of my cousins from my dad's sides are here, and the majority of them are girls, and they're around my age, so they were like my best friends. And yeah, so my mum and dad used to say, we're moving to Manchester. At this point, only my mum knew. And I remember she said to me, "Church or us, which one is it going to be?" And I said, "You guys." I said, "I'm not picking church. No way am I going to pick God." Literally, bear in mind, guys, this whole time I was properly saved, during from 16 to 17, that whole year, I wasn't in and out. I wasn't one foot in, one foot out. Both feet were in. So looking back, the fact that I chose it like that, my family, is crazy to me. But I started backtracking. I stopped praying. I stopped reading my Bible. I believe I must have stopped fellowshipping somewhere during that point. I had to have. And yeah, I said, "Mum, I'll pick you." And she said, "But what about Christianity? You said you're all for it." And I said to her, I was like, "No, it's fine." I was like, "It's fine. I'll be a Muslim." I said, I won't be a Muslim in my heart. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus, but I'll marry a Muslim guy for you. It's okay. I'll just pretend. People might be thinking, "Oh, this is a bit crazy." This was a proper conversation, guys, like sitting down face on face like this. And I literally said, "Yeah, I'll marry a Muslim guy for you. Everything's fine." She believed me. I believed it too. I backslid. Whilst I was backsliding, I cut off everyone. I sat down my pastor and his wife, they might remember this, sat them down in the prayer room, and I said, "Guys, don't ever talk to me about Jesus again. I'm not on this Jesus thing no more. I'm not doing this. Nothing you say is going to change my mind. I'm moving to Manchester." And I remember my pastor just said to me, "I'm never going to force you, but to throw in the towel now, Tazmin, He said, you've done all this. And he said to me, my word again, having done all to stand, stand. Like, this word till this day, it still comes at me, guys, like all the time. And I remember I just said to my pastor, tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And he just kept saying, you know, I can't tell you. But I backslid. I went to parties, I went clubbing, I started drinking, I started wearing not very modest clothing. I was just being a sinner. And then Benjamin, the person who reached out to me about Christianity in the first time, he reached out to me, you know, because during this whole phase, Ben's always been in my life during all of this since I've been saved. He came back during that phase and he said, Tazmin, like, please. He was just talking to me about God, almost evangelizing to me again. And I just made my decision right there and then. I said, I cannot leave Jesus. I can't do it. All for what? Just to make my parents happy. Like, we all came into the world alone. We're all going to die alone. My parents were only going to be happy to a certain extent. Even if I really thought, even if I married a Bengali Muslim, there's always going to be another problem, you know. And it was really, really, really hard, because I have a little brother who is 7, but you know, he was like, I love my brother to pieces, and I have my sister who's 15, and we're like best friends. So to know that I'm going to pick Jesus, I knew meant cutting, you know, I knew if I kept Jesus, I had to cut my family off. Not just my mum, dad, my siblings, my cousins, my aunties, my uncles, everyone. It would literally be me alone. It would be no one would have had my back throughout it. They would have cut with me. But I made the decision. At the time I was working in a nursery that paid minimum wage. Barely, guys, in a month, maybe £400 used to come into my account in a month, by the way. So it was just outrageous how much I was getting, and I knew if I had to move out, I was like, okay, so I need a job. This is where God moved, and I knew it was God, because I got a job, the job I have now, and I needed a place to move out to. The time that I got the job and the place that I have now, the timing was so mad. It had to have been God, because when I got paid, it would have gone straight towards this place. And I'm sorry, no one can say that's not God. That is God, because I knew I was doing this for God. God came through. He knew if I didn't have a place to stay, I wouldn't have been able to do this. God came through for me, put a roof over my head, and so I moved out. My dad found out 2 days before I moved out. My dad said to me, I know you're a Christian. And this part of the story, I've always been very hesitant to say it, because I don't want, you know, it's my dad, so I still love and care for him. But I'm going to say it. This is my first time ever saying this part. But he looked at me and said, if we wasn't in England, I would kill you right now. And I remember I just looked at him and I was like, what? And he said, if murder wasn't a thing in England, you wouldn't be here. He said, that's how bad it is what I've done, because in the Quran, he justified it all. He literally got like scriptures up from it on his phone, because he was on his phone when he was talking to me, and he was just saying it, and he was just saying, you know, I'm not your dad no more. You don't have a mum, you don't have a dad, and he was just saying, you know, you're lucky, because where it was, my brother was sleeping my little brother, he was sleeping next to me, because I knew I wasn't going to see him for God knows how long. I wasn't going to see him after. So building up to the time of moving out, I used to sleep with him all the time, and I thank God that my brother was with me, because I truly think my dad would have laid hands on me, but you know, my little brother Yasin was there, and yeah, I knew my dad wouldn't have touched me if my brother was there. But he said those words to me, and for some people those words would have been stuck in them, and it would have impacted them how they live. for me, it went through, you know, saying it, reliving it like this, it does make me feel some sort of way. But at the time, it really went through one ear out the other, because this whole time I was thinking, he's just angry. Like, he doesn't know Jesus. This is why he's angry. This is what I was thinking. Like, it's fine. Like, he can be angry, and I didn't care. My dad could have touched me that day, and it never would have done anything to me, because I know it's because he didn't know God. That's why he's angry. He's just all wrapped up in religion. And this is what I was thinking. God really comforted me that day. Like, that Holy Spirit was doing something in me during this whole phase. My dad walked out the room, and it was 2 days later, the moving trucks came to take all their luggage out, everything, the furniture. I called an Uber to pick me up to go my separate way. I said bye to my little brother. Obviously, he didn't know anything. He just said, "Oh, like, are you not coming with us?" And I said, "Yeah, I will, I will." Hugged him goodbye, hugged my sister goodbye, hugged my older brother goodbye. I didn't speak to my dad. My dad looked at me and he just walked straight the other way. So yeah, he didn't say bye to me, which, you know, you can understand why. My mum, she was in absolute bits, because growing up we've always been best friends, kind of. She walked away. Sorry, she didn't walk up, my dad walked away. My mum was sobbing, begging me basically to change my mind, begging me, and she gave me a letter and some photo frames with pictures of us. Now, growing up in my culture, some people might find this really weird, but you don't really show emotion. You never say, "Oh, I love you, mum." That's not really a thing. It's almost embarrassing if you do show that kind of emotion. So for my mum to give me a letter and friends was really weird for me. Like, it was like, oh, kind of thing. But she gave it to me. She hugged me goodbye, and that was it. I moved into my place. And I'll say this now, guys, the first day I ever moved in here, and I've said this before, 2019 was the best year of my life, to do with my relationship with God, but it was also the worst year of my life. And you can take that as it sounds. I'm pretty sure you can understand why. But yeah, so the first day I moved in, it was really hard, because growing up I've always been sheltered. I've never paid a phone bill in my life. I've never done the washing up in my life. I've never cooked in my life. I've never ever gone shopping in my life. I've never done anything like that. So I really got thrown into the deep end, to do with, like, kind of growing up. And I done it. I read my letter, and basically the letter said, for me, she was begging me in the letter not to bring my sister into this. Now, at this point, Tazmin, my sister, she sees herself as a Christian. She loves Jesus. She used to come to church with me when she lived in Kent. She absolutely loved it. Until this day, she absolutely loved it. She can't wait to do exactly what I done. But my mum was begging me in the letter, and she was just, you know, that's basically what it was. There's a lot more, but those were, like, to do with God and Christianity. I was carrying on. Now, at this point, I really was happy, because I got to outreach. I got to go to impact teams. I was so excited to do praise and worship in my own place, and not worry about people saying, sorry guys, not worrying about people saying, "Oh, you know, you can't listen to that because it's Jesus' name." This is what I was so excited for, and I'd done it. And it was months later, I went to my first ever conference. Oh my gosh, if you guys haven't been to a conference, you have to go to conference. It's absolutely amazing. It's just the feeling of God, and just, oh, it's so good. Went to my first conference, and God blessed me with Benjamin, because I'm now dating. So it was really exciting for me. But, you know, it was really hard. And now, how it is now is, me and my family are no longer on talking terms. My cousins, they cut from me when I first moved out, but God, I was praying for my cousins to come back, because they were like my best friends, and they're like me. They're very westernized, so I thought if anyone would come back, it would be them. They came back, and in December last year, I told them I was a Christian, and I prepared myself. I'm going to go for it again. They're going to cut off from me, and that's fine. I told them that I was a Christian. They called me crying their eyes out, saying, Tazmin, we don't care. It doesn't matter. You're still the same person. And till this day, they are still in my life. Till this day. One of the girls has met me outside my church. Like, we speak about God. I tell her about this stuff, and it's so, just so you guys can understand how crazy that is, that breakthrough. It's as crazy as my mum just saying to me, come home. It's on the same level, just so you guys can understand. So if anyone says, what's God done in your life, I could never forget that breakthrough. It's absolutely amazing. Like, I'll always be thankful for that, the fact that they're still in my life and I have that. It's been great. But yeah, I mean, now just live my life. I'm 19 now, so I'm growing up and things are going well. Even though I'm not speaking to my mum and dad, I just pray. I pray for my heart, because I can't be oblivious to, you don't know what it could be doing to you just because you're not acting on it. You don't know what's actually going on. So I do pray for my heart, and I just really, I really thank God, because without prayer, I would not be here right now. The day I said to my mum, I'm moving to Manchester, guys, that would have been it. And this is just to show you, God actually uses people in the church, because if Benjamin didn't reach out to me and spread the gospel against me, I don't know if I would be here right now. I could be in Manchester, living this fake Muslim life, and doing my family proud, but I could not leave Jesus. It's just, yeah, I hope this encouraged people, and yeah, that's my thing. But yeah.
Taz, that was an amazing testimony. I'm gripped by your excitement for Jesus, and what an amazing journey. I can't believe you're 19. This whole time, literally, Pastor Eric, I actually thought you were in your mid-20s.
Oh gosh.
No, facts. My wife and I got married when she was your age, and so I wish you all the best of luck. So for everyone else who's listening, we're gonna take some questions for Tazmin in a moment. But I don't know about your house, but I feel God in my house. I was very touched by that testimony. I want us to pray. I want us to just spend a few moments just repenting of our, Pastor Joshua preached a powerful service, the 14-year-old evangelist on Sunday, talking about distractions. He's saying, just keep your eye on Christ, keep your eye on God. So God, you know what? I've been distracted by things. I just want to all my affections back on you. We want to pray for Tazmin, just to say thank you. We want to pray for her family, for her future. But let's also pray, right? Because what this has really highlighted for me